I was looking at your website and I saw that you do so many retreats, so many retreats. And then you also do retreat planning. And then you have like a team of people that you work with, all expert in their own things. So like what is Orion Retreats as a whole?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm still kind of in creation mode of what the totality is going to be of that. We started as a collective of facilitators, and then it turned into doing retreat planning for some of my facilitators, and then getting asked to do retreat planning for other people outside of my network, so to speak. And so that's where like the retreat planning really started coming in because I was good at it. I was helping people like just plan all the logistics because I had already gone through some educational programs to teach me how to do the planning properly.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
it's really like right now it's like it's on cue to be it's a brand, and there's so many moving parts, but what I'm really excited about is like, yes, we do retreat planning. So we have different tiers for that. And we've just launched a marketing option for that. We've partnered with a new platform to give more funnels, more email automations, help people set that all up so it sets them up for success. And then, of course, the planning aspect where we have venue partners or we will research any venues in any other areas, help handle all the logistics, all the payments, communications, all the things, and streamline that so that and this was really why I started this, so that the facilitator could just show up and share their beautiful message with the world and not have to have the stress of all that, because I went through so much stress trying to plan all this stuff. And when you try and show up and facilitate at the same time, it's like it's hard to step into that facilitator role. So my mission with that was really to support people in the industry. And then on top of that, I serve my facilitators as a little bit of like a mastermind where it's a community for networking and sharing opportunities with each other. And additionally, we have this is a little bit more on the down low, so to speak, but we have an in-house PR agency where we will help the facilitators that are in that inner circle mastermind, really help them do media kits and get publicity and connect them with other podcasts and have them on our podcast. And we do press releases, and we really kind of help to get their, not just their retreats, but their coaching or their program or just elevate their presence online.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we'll probably do more in the future. We just launched a membership that has an academy on the back end where people can be a member to get their retreats every year, but then also like have support before the retreats, integration for after the retreats, all in like a resource library. So that's new and that's coming in January. And beyond that, I think that's good for now. I think if anything else
That's
wants
a
to be created
lot.
through this vehicle, it'll take another year or two, but that's where I'm at right now.
That's amazing. That's huge.
It is huge. Thank you. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely beyond me from what I've like created. Each step has just been shown to me like something's needing to be birthed here. And I happen to be the conduit of that, but I don't take credit for it. It's just like it needs to exist in the world in the way that it's needing to exist. And I'm happy to be the one to do that because that's part of my mission is supporting others.
Yeah. I'm really happy that you're I just had lunch and my throat went blah blah blah. Blah. Well, I just did what I wanted to mute. Anyway, I think what you're doing is amazing because a lot of the facilitators that I've been talking to, I mean, I'm like, what is your biggest challenge? Marketing. Marketing. Oh, I hate marketing. Like everybody says the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a need.
Absolutely. And I think that's why these programs that we created came into existence, because when I was doing the retreat planning, the biggest need of the people that we were planning for was the marketing aspect. And I had best practices and I had tools for them and I would share them with our network, but I didn't have a very robust marketing system for them. And so I created it because there was a gap in that. There aren't very many people doing that out in the industry. People say, yes, it's your warm market, it's your audience, it's connecting with that. But what about the people who don't already have an audience? What if they're still building their coaching audience or whatever it is that they offer, practitionership? So that's where we've refined it and we've partnered with, we're using the Go High Level platform. And so we have, it's actually really cool, everything that like comprehensive what we include in that, because it is such a need. And we've had success with it so far, and it's only the very beginning in like positioning ourselves as, like whether you want to do it with us or you just want to use the platform, because it really is the best platform in the entire like industry of like Kajabis and Podias and stuff. And anyway, so I'm very proud about that. But it definitely was out of necessity that we created it, because that was our, the complaints that we received too from the planning side of everything. So, yeah.
Wow, so you're taking away the two biggest pain points, because the first thing is, can you just get all the logistics, and so I can just show up and be me, and then there's this other aspect of like, okay, how do we get people there and promote it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love doing that too, because it's about connecting people and kind of like throwing out a large net. And a lot of people in the industry, surprisingly or unsurprisingly, it's appropriate in some ways, but they teach that you can't sell your retreats to a cold market. And what we have found is that that's false. Yes, your best market is going to be the people who already know, like, and trust you. Like, everyone gets that. But there's only so many, especially if you want to do more retreats, more than one or one per year. Like, there's only so many times that you can sell your retreats to the same audience. So what we have, really found is that if you message it right, if you get your ideal client right, if you get all the little like nitpicky things that nitpicky, I'm a Virgo, so I love the nitpicky things, but if you get that all dialed in, then it really sets you up for success, because your messaging then will speak to the exact ideal client that you're going for, whether they know you or not. It's worked, because it's worked for me. It's filled my retreats. Somebody who didn't even, like, numerous people who didn't even know me would register for my retreat, and we would get on our first call. And that was the first time that we met. So I know that there's something to what we're doing, and it's really working for people.
That's awesome to hear. That's awesome to hear that you don't need 52 touch points, like I've been hearing lately. That's crazy. What happened to
Yeah.
9? You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah. The 52, yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I think that there's science to that no, yeah, you see it multiple times. 52 apparently is the magic number, but they have to see it multiple times before they'll commit to something. But for somebody who's doing it, this is where I started out too, but for somebody who's doing it either manually or doesn't have the right tech build out, then there's only so many times that you can track how many times that person has been contacted. And that's where like really the software comes in, and really like just marketing skills. Like, if you run ads, retargeting those ads, you tracking the people that are looking at that, opening your emails, you retarget to them. So there's a lot of stuff on the back end that you can be doing, which is where a platform like Go High Level is really effective and powerful. But yeah, it is repetition. It definitely is. It's rare that you'll find somebody to sign up on a whim, but they usually will think about it and come back. Or again, everything's digital these days, so they, there's different ways again of tracking that and seeing and just like exposing them to it, and it really helps. I had about 5, getting real tech nerdy here, but I had about 5 or 6 different like platforms that I use, between MailChimp, my GoDaddy blog, like all these different like touch points for people. And then I've been able to bring those all into Go High Level, and that just has made everything so much easier. And now with like, text capabilities, and again, just that cold traffic, and just getting it in front of the right people is really, really important.
And something that you said is really important too, about the software and the systems. Because as a human being, manually, you can only do so much. You can only post so much. You can only like check all the things, all the notifications before your brain just like explodes and you're burnt out and you can't do anymore. And that's why people hate marketing and social media.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Oh yeah, then you throw in social media and DMs and all that kind of stuff, please. That's a full-time job,
yeah.
lead management all in of itself. And so many people, when they're trying to do facilitator planning, getting it filled, their regular work and coaching or job or whatever it is, it's you definitely need a team or 5 of you, which I had to do early
Hmm.
on, and I was working long hours, but we've got it figured out by now.
So back to the planning, like when you, because we're gonna get back to the marketing. That's the hot spot. But for the planning, do you plan worldwide, or are you yeah, worldwide?
We do, yeah. I am localized in Mount Shasta, and that's a pretty big space for a lot of people to come and do retreats. So I kind of have established myself here as that. But and I started out with Mount Shasta and Sedona, and then actually had my first client in Kansas City planning retreats there. And then as people started coming to me for the planning, yeah, they're like, well, I want to do one here. I'm like, well, let's go for it. So I just apply the same things that we were already doing, like trying to find a venue, trying to find a chef. We just go to that same area and do it all from there. Now, some venues already have the chef or they have a restaurant, so that helps. But really, like, the whole world is open for people. And I think that's really important for like retreat facilitators to know, is like, even if you've never been to that country and it's going to be your first time too, go for it. There's nothing there's no borders anymore. Like the whole world is open, and there's going to be, some kind of space there for you to do this and bring your people along. Yeah.
What about insurance? Is that something that
Yeah.
you cover too?
The legalities, let's see. I have the legalities on our end. We have insurance for our tours. We recommend the facilitators to get their general liability insurance. And if this is something they're going to be doing more often, more than just one, then there's what's called seller of travel insurance that they should have. It depends on how we work together. If they're hiring me to do their planning, then they need to have the seller of travel. And if we are doing our own tours, like a couple of them that we're doing next year, then we will have the seller of travel. And seller of travel is one of those things that it depends on what state you're in, but just to kind of blanket it and be safe, it's good to have it. So we'll have it next year we have a Chile retreat, and then I think in Iceland, not I think, we're still finalizing our dates, but it's either Iceland or Croatia is going to come up for that,
Oh,
for
yeah.
the fall, early fall. Yeah. But insurance is important. Oh, and general liability too for the practitioner. Absolutely.
And
And on that note too,
mm,
for the seller of travel, um, it's really, and I know that there's like fine hairs and stuff, but if you're not selling airfare and you're not yeah, I think it's if you're not selling airfare, don't quote me on that specifically, then you don't necessarily have to have that. But if you are selling like the lodging, then yes, and it depends on what state. So I just kind of tell people, like, just to blanket it, just be safe and just get it, especially if you plan on doing more than one retreat.
okay. You know what I've been trying to figure out, is there a specific company that does insurance for retreats, or is it just like insurance agents do all types of insurance?
Yeah, we there's a few of them that do quote unquote specialize in retreats, and they call them more an event insurance or travel insurance. Aon is the big one that I know about. We contracted with a small one for the individual retreats that we've done, but we're looking at getting a yearly package from somebody. But there's a few good ones out there, and I have some resources on my website. But then also Sherry Rosenthal, um, she has her Journeys of the Spirit, and you can be registered with her as a retreat facilitator, and then use her as a travel agency to be covered under her stuff.
Oh,
So she
yeah.
teaches quite a bit more on that part of it. I kind of do it for retreat by retreat for the whole thing. There are some I've heard that are better than others. I think Aon's really hard to get a hold of, is what I hear. But we went with somebody that was I can't think of it off the top of my head, but someone who was recommended by one of my colleagues. So we go with them for each small one that we need to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So with planning, how do you, this is a good question. So, because I was like, I've been just, free flowing, and then I got stuck. So, what strategy do you use to ensure that retreats stay profitable, even for first timers?
Absolutely. That's a great question. I think that more people need to be talking about this, because I hear so many people say, "Oh, I tried to plan a retreat and it didn't sell, or I didn't make any money, or I lost money," and so they decide not to do anything more. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, that's why we exist, is to kind of help that. And I know a lot of other retreat planners, yeah, because gosh, I mean, it's such sacred work, and if you're not getting like the energy exchange, which money is energy, then it really can be really draining, and then you're not living on purpose, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing your soul purpose. So we do a bit of like a reverse engineered pricing system where for example, what I hear most often in the retreat industry from leaders is like, okay, I've got my venue, I've got my chef, I've got all my expenses, I add that all together, I divide it by what I want to think I want to charge, and then I have to fill it with 20 people to like break even. And that you're setting yourself up for like a lot of stress at that point. And so what we teach and what we do is we take all of those expenses, add in what you I got the model somewhat from Sherry Rosenthal, because I did take her mastermind class. And so she was brilliant at this. And we've tweaked it here and there a little bit to make it kind of our own and find what works too. And hers works just as fine. It wasn't because there was anything wrong with it. But we reverse engineer it, where we take all of the expenses, add in what you think you want to make, which is also like what work you're leaving behind by your leaving your normal life, a certain profit per person that you want to make. And then that, basically the way it calculates everything is like you put in all your expenses, and that gives you a suggested price that you should charge for your clients, versus like, oh, I think I only want to charge this much and try and make it through, however many guests that needs to fill it. With her formula too, it helps you to calculate the minimum amount of guests that you need in order to break even, so that you don't have to sell out your retreat just to make money. Here's a good example. I had a retreat planning client for a Tulum retreat last March, and her hour, what we figured out together, the minimum amount that she needed to break even was 4 guests. Was it 4 or 5? 4 or 5 guests. And we were able to get the minimum, but then she still made $4,000 off of it for her very, very first retreat ever. And that's just because the power of pricing it properly and not thinking about, oh, I think I only want to charge, $2,000, but that means I'm going to have 15, 20 people there. You have to price it so that it shows the inherent value, and it covers everything. And you're going to find people that are willing to pay at different price points. But, retreats are a very valuable experience, and they're transformational. And so it depends on how you button it all up and what kind of like accommodations you stay at, what kind of excursions that you offer. Like there's definitely the value in there. And I say to anyone, like, don't price your stuff under $3,000 for anything less, for a 4 to 5 day retreat minimum. Again, because like you're shortchanging yourself if you're trying to offer like a 6-day retreat and trying to keep it around 2,000. I mean, good for you, and that's great, but like a 6-day retreat, like people aren't going to get the same amount out of it. And I just was speaking to somebody else the other day on another podcast, but like people aren't going to get the same thing out of it if they don't have the same perceived value of it. So they're not going to show up in the same way. So don't be afraid to price it in a way that's fulfilling you, because you're going to show up better. You're going to show up as a facilitator, like way more like on fire and on purpose, when you are getting that equal exchange, that energy back again. So again, it's a matter of starting with the end in mind, but end of profits and expenses versus like what you think you want to charge your guests.
Yeah.
Makes a huge difference.
Wow. We made zero money on our first retreats because we were just trying to make it. We were just, we were in this phase where we were like, yeah, we just want to share and heal the world and peace and love, which is great.
Beautiful.
Yes. But then when we were, coming back, I was like, okay, what did we make? And we're like, I guess we're going to have to do another one. And, so that's so valuable. I know it is hard, and it's for a lot of people to think that way, because you think, oh, well, this should be free. Well, but the world kind of still runs on money. So we have to take that into consideration.
Yeah. And it's a mindset thing and a self-worth and value thing too. Like a lot of coaches run into this too. It's like, oh, I just want everyone to have my work because it's free. And that's beautiful. And again, like if somebody gets your work and the years of experience and the years of development that you've invested in yourself, in your business, in your software, in all the things, in your event planner for these retreats, you put that all together, and it's like, it's more than just a business thing. It's a value and it's a worth thing. Like you deserve to be compensated for your brilliance and how you're bringing that into the world. And I think retreats are such sacred work that's like in and of itself so much more why you should be reciprocated, energetically. Money is energy again in that, because you're being supported. And then the more that you get, the more you can give, actually. Because did you come back and thinking like even an inkling like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do this again, or gosh, this is gonna be that much harder to do another one? Because you can get stuck in that thing of like, okay, now we just need to do more and more and more to be profitable. But if you had come back making a few $1,000s, I try and get my people to make at least $10,000 for 10 people, up to 20,000 for 15 and up. Wouldn't you be more on fire to then create better content and create a better retreat for next time, knowing that it's going to be that much more like impactful for people?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And on that note, when we think of, I mean, if you think of retreat planning at the superficial level, it's like the venue, the location, or maybe, the location first, the venue, the activities, the facilitator. But there's a depth, and like you said, retreats are sacred.
Yes.
So, have you ever encountered somebody whose offering wasn't great? Or how do you work with people to get their offering to a place where it is worth 3 grand per person or more?
Yeah. I would say first and foremost, thankfully, everyone that I've worked with, been blessed to have worked with, has been an awesome coach, facilitator already. So there wasn't anything that was lacking. I haven't met anyone yet that was just doing it. Oh, I want to do retreats and kind of whimsical. I don't know what to do, whatever, like, so that's been really great. And I'm grateful for that. And, our specialty as well is, I have a director of retreat development, and I brought her on to help coaches and practitioners who have wonderful content. They have a program or they have like a process, but they don't know how to put it into a retreat space, because it's very different than a regular 6 month, 12-month program. So to take the same transformation that they want to offer their clients and their guests and put that into a retreat model, then we do offer that. Marla is her name. She's wonderful and just absolutely brilliant. Marla Bainbridge. It's like backed by neuroscience how she developed this, that there's all this like brain science where like you can only, the brain can only handle so much. So if you're trying to teach something, this is again more specific for coaches who are doing like a transformation versus like a yoga retreat or just like a rest and recharge retreat. Totally appropriate, wonderful retreats, but we tend to focus more on the transformational side of things. But so she helps people put that into a framework where you only have so much that you can teach throughout the day before the brain needs a break. You do your excursion, you take a rest, you do whatever else. And so it builds like this whole like 0 to hero pathway throughout the entire retreat. And that's how we address that, because there was a need as well to help people put all of their beautiful, wonderful content into like a 3 or 4 day, 5 day experience versus like just like information overloading their guests, which is not appropriate for a retreat as well. So it's about just making sure it's like spoon fed so that everyone has, like, depending on where they're at in the retreat, has the opportunity to like have a full experience no matter where they're at in their own experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, what
Yeah.
kind of people do you usually work with?
Coaches and practitioners. So we've had healers and shamans. I've worked with a few coaches that have like Enneagram specific human design, family constellations, and we've helped them put all their content into a retreat. Our particular niche and the way, the kind of like the niche that I want to stay in is working with thought leaders, practitioners and coaches, healers. It just tends to be more my kind of people. My background's in the healing arts, so of course I love working with those kinds of people. Um, and really, that's really what the retreat space, I think, it's mostly filled up with. The only thing I don't really specialize in is yoga retreats.
Oh,
So I will, like, if somebody comes to me to plan one, it's easy, I suppose, but I won't have any. I won't be able to help them with like doing their retreat content because it's yoga. So um, I suppose if anyone came to me to help plan them, I could do it. But I also have a colleague that I would probably send it to because they do specialize in it, so they would know all the extra little things to do that. But other than that, just anyone who really like has a transformational message that they want to share with the world, and whether it's a process or just an ideology or a thought, not a thought, but like a just transformation. Yeah, I really like to serve those people because they have the most amount of impact that they want to have for their guests.
okay. Yeah, and I said, because when you think of retreats, like usually the first thing that pops up is a yoga retreat.
Okay.
So it's
Yes.
very interesting that you're like, yeah, all these healing modalities, but not yoga. You'll do not
Yes,
yoga.
I will. Yes, but, like, I've never like been fully inclined, and I think that for me, I've tried yoga off and on. I'm not sure if it's my thing. I always end up hurting myself in some way, but
Oh,
but really, it's okay. But truly, I think that also part of like maybe my rebelliousness, just my spirit in general, a little bit of a maverick. Like, I want to offer people that education that there's more than just yoga. There's all these other things too, and to be able to provide that so that it's more accessible to more people, so people can be like, as a guest, be like, oh, I didn't know that anything existed besides yoga retreats. Oh, I'd love to come to that. and really kind of
Yeah.
set that standard for educating people on, gosh, there's so much that you can do. And, there's retreats for moms, there's retreats for like, women entrepreneurs, there's retreats for, fitness retreats for men, like there's all kinds. And so yoga is just one part of that, but most people, they do only think of yoga. So I really want to help kind of change that narrative.
That's cool. That's really cool. And so you also host retreats, your own retreats. What are those retreats about?
Yeah, thank you. So my kind of specialty that I've developed is what I call like sacred pathways. So again, I live in Mount Shasta, which is considered the root chakra of the world. I've lived in Sedona,
Oh,
Arizona. I've traveled to Uluru, which is considered the solar plexus chakra of the world. I have a thing for earth energy, ley lines, all the vortexes. So what I like to do is take people on tours that both explore those sacred areas, in sacred area, land, I should say, and then visit kind of like a lot of the hot spots in those areas and do an elemental itinerary where we do earth and do shadow work. We do water day, an air day, and then a fire day. Last October, was it October? Yeah, we did the Ring of Fire eclipse here in Mount Shasta, and so the fire day, of course, was the Ring of Fire eclipse. It was awesome and amazing. And we went up to Crater Lake for that, and Crater Lake's a volcano. It was just spectacular. I really loved it. So that's been like my passion to do that. The content mixed in is some of my quantum soul coaching content. Obviously, some energy work because that's what I do too, and just taking people through an experience. And that was really, it's transformational, but that was really experiential. And it's a lot of doing inner work while you're out doing that, and like releasing things into nature and letting like the land and the sacredness and the energy of land activate the psyche, and work on another level while the facilitator or the person themselves don't necessarily have to be conscious of it, which I think is really cool touch. I just love doing these different areas. For 2025, I'm going to be doing some conscious leadership retreats where I want to help like spiritual entrepreneurs like find their soul mission, even if they're not entrepreneurs. Like that just happens to be who I gravitate towards. But anyone who wants to find like their soul mission, I do numerology, I do astrology, Enneagram. I'm just dabbling in human design, but I'm taking all of these like models and tools and helping people create a blueprint for their soul, and then going through different activities of like what they want to do, what they're passionate about, and kind of finding like the perfect Venn diagram of what's in the center of what they want to do with their life. Whether you are coming out of corporate and want to find your soul purpose, or you are coming out of like raising kids and now you want to do your thing, or any kind of life transition, or you've just always known that you're meant here to do things bigger, like you're highly sensitive people and empaths, they tend to have a calling for a mission, and I like to work with them. So I'm developing those retreats for that next year. It's gonna be awesome.
it sounds really cool and really fun. And anything that's elemental like that just makes me think of Avatar. Have you seen the cartoon Avatar?
Yes, yes,
I
love
love
that.
that show so
Yeah.
much. And I think, things like I love numerology. I'm not an expert. I love astrology. I'm like, I just kind of peeked my head into human design. I find that all these things are really fun. Like it invites more play into your life.
Yes.
You can come back to that child. And I think
Mhm.
there's a stigma that the child is immature, the child is like needs to grow up.
Mhm.
But there is the other side of keeping that playful energy, that curiosity, that wonder, that joy that just makes life amazing. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I love all of this stuff because it feels like play. And I think that's
Yeah.
what we need more of.
Beautifully said. Yeah, absolutely. And I think I've only recently learned about IFS, internal family systems, which is like the next level of inner child work. Because I would have, I've been of like the logical, I'm creative, but I still get very logical, like that. Oh, why do we need to like look at inner child stuff when we've got all this to do, or the world needs this and that? And like even in my own like mission and purpose, I've been very like, I have in the past been very linear about how I approached that. And then since I've been working with my own personal coach, he introduced the concept of the internal family systems, and it like blew my mind, because like you can't access the joy that you need to access to get your inner child if your other parts, like your protector part, your abandoned child part, if all those other aspects of you are louder than the one that needs play. So your inner child is actually like multiple childs, and you need to tend to each of them, do a lot of healing on each parts of them, so that the one that, for one, that they can integrate is the ultimate goal. But then the ones that want to play and do more, they get nourished by that, absolutely. But they can't exactly access that if the protector parts is a perfect example. If the protector saying no, it's not safe to be out in the world and have fun, then you're not going to ever have fun, no matter how much inner child, because you can boost that, but someone's still going to be in there protecting you. Whether it's like your 13-year-old that saw whatever kind of traumas we all like, and even micro traumas that we have inside ourselves from our history or memories. But again, like, yeah, the protector will always like make sure that that younger, playful, naive kid is safe. So we've got to talk to that one and say, hey, it's okay now. Can we move you away and see what this one wants, and kind of just do that inner work. And it's been very transformational for me. And then he's also going to be on one of our retreats next year in Chile and Patagonia, doing some of this work for people, because I think it's really, really important. And we all should be playing and enjoying our lives and having more pleasure and having more, just flow in life. And we can't
Yeah.
do that unless we do specific things to kind of open that up.
And I'm glad you brought up Patagonia, because I saw that on your website too. I mean, it just seems like everything that you're doing is so amazing. I have to say, like
Oh,
you're doing your own thing. You're helping people do their things. You're doing this with the marketing, and then you're giving back to the world and the earth. Can you remind me like what you're doing over there?
and Patagonia. So this is my inner child coming out, is that I've always heard of Easter Island, and I had no idea. I thought it was in like the Galapagos Islands. Like I
Mm.
thought it was like over in like Mediterranean. Like growing up, I'm like, oh, the big statues of the Ignorae. Like I wanted to see them. And so when we had been planning an Argentina retreat that we had to cancel because the Argentine peso has been so tumultuous that we just couldn't get any solid pricing on people for things, because things were like double, tripling in price overnight. So we had to kind of pause that one. Like, well, I still want to go to Patagonia. Let's do the Chile side. So once I decided to do the Chile side and still do the major parts of Patagonia, and then I realized, I can't remember how I found it, but this very synchronistic, like, Easter Island is off the coast, 5-hour flight from Chile. And I had no idea. So I'm like, oh, well, we have to go. We absolutely have to go to Easter Island. So it's either going to be the, excuse me, the front part of the retreat, where we'll spend 2 days there. We've already found a beautiful eco luxury hotel there, and then we come back to Santiago and then go down south, or we're going to go down south in Patagonia first and have that as an optional extension. Depends on the pricing. Like trying to do all that, it will be a kind of a higher tier retreat, but it's so worth it if you can get away for like 10 days at a time. If not, then we'll probably do in like an 8-day Patagonia and then the extension. But it's going to be awesome. It's going to be one of the sacred pathways too. We will do the different elements and wander and do energy work and share and do all kinds of transformational work while out in the beautiful like wilderness of Patagonia. And I'm so excited.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
My dream retreat. Yeah.
I'm looking though for now. I saw that you were doing something, and now I can't find it. It was like global impact. Here it is.
Mm, yeah. Thank you.
The pathways to partnership, and I don't know. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
I'm reading this wrong.
No, what we do on that is we for each retreat that we do, that
Mhm.
we host ourselves. I never try and push this on any of our retreat planning clients, although I always suggest it. And most people do something along these lines. But we partner usually with any kind of conservation, ecotourism facilitator organization, facility, I should say. But somebody's also giving back to the natural parts of the area.
Yeah.
We donate 5% of all profits back to that, because we want to be a part of the sustainable movement where, yeah, tourism is wonderful. Everyone wants to see the world, but we have to be responsible about it. And we have to make sure that again, it's that sacredness of reciprocity back to Mother Earth. And thank you for letting us be here. We're coming down from the United States to be in this beautiful area. Like, thank you. So
Yes.
we want to honor the stewards of that land. And I just got chills, but we want to honor that by working with those people. So for the Chile one, we're going to be working with Rewilding Chile. I can't remember the woman's name, but she is the founder of Patagonia outdoor clothing line, which is like, I've been a big hiker and backpacker my whole life. So it's like, I mean, it just was a natural fit for me, but we're going to be working with her because they're really doing a lot of beautiful conservation efforts
Wow.
there to really make sure that it's pristine and it stays that way.
That's amazing. I love that. I love that you're doing that.
Yeah, thank you. It's near and dear to me because like we only have this one Earth,
Yep.
and we're here. We have to be going to be emotional. It's we are both stewards of that and of the creation itself. So we have to make sure that everything that we're doing is sacred.
Yeah.
To make sure that everything stays honored and protected, and so that everyone can enjoy it. Yeah,
Thank you.
and the animals. Yeah,
Yes.
sorry, I'll get off
It's
my
okay.
soapbox.
Oh, I love that it makes you emotional though. It just shows how passionate and how very important it is to you.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, on that note, let's skirt back over to marketing because
Marketing.
yeah. I was waiting to leave it, even though that was a beautiful journey. So, all right, marketing. So many questions around marketing. Well, here's one because you mentioned it earlier about people who don't have a community. They don't have an audience yet. What are some of the ways that you help people in that position to build a community?
Yeah, great question. So even before we started offering like actual tangible marketing, I would always have like best practices and tools because I have been in marketing for a little while. Of course, retreats are kind of their own thing, but I would give, of course, we've enhanced this too. But I would give examples of like email campaigns that you should send to an audience, even if it's a small audience, and get them started working on it. Again, it's going back to like creating the messaging properly so that if somebody randomly finds it and they're not in your audience, that it speaks to them, the ideal client work that we do. And then my brain just blanked after that thing about the ecology stuff. Tell me again what you asked. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. So, people who don't have an audience yet, how do you help
Thank you.
them to grow community?
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. So my background has been in not just marketing, but then on social media, both as a manager, and then I've built I'm an artist, and I've built almost my entire art career, I want to say, on Instagram. So there's a lot of tricks and tools on there. But really, what I do is I help people develop a content strategy where they're talking about the benefits of their retreat. They're talking about not just the features of price and location, which are beautiful, people want to know that, but what are they really going to get out of it? So I help people give best strategies for presenting it on social media, so that they can get more followers and get more people engaging with the content. What we do right now, I mean, that's kind of what we started out with, and then I would encourage people to find blogs, find different things to write about, start their own blog. And again, it came out of this need that not everyone has time to even do all that, even if it's for themselves in their own retreat. So that's where this kind of was born out of necessity too. So now this is really exciting because it was something that I struggled with early on. So now we help my facilitators, but we help a ebook generation, so a lead magnet, and then we build your funnel so that if somebody whether you post an ad or you just post it to Facebook or someone finds you on SEO search or something like that, where they'll find your ebook or they'll find your freebie. It doesn't have to be an ebook, but that tends to be really effective.
Mm-hmm.
And then they, with this new Go High Level platform, they get introduced to their content, and then we do very gentle email marketing campaigns. I'm not a guerrilla marketer. I don't like to spam people. I think it's so rude.
Yeah.
Some people send out two or
Yes.
three a day. Yeah,
No,
but
please
doing
don't
it
do
with
that.
respect. Yeah. And so then they're introduced to their funnel and they're introduced to their content. And then there's I've learned from another gentleman, what's his name? James Wedmore. And all this has been born of me just learning all these different things from other people. But he talks about this ascension funnel. Basically, it's we have a freebie, you have free content, whether that's your podcast, your blog, just your content on social media. And then you always have an offer of how they can get more and more involved, where maybe start up something free, or then they buy something for $10, then they sign up for your webinar, or then they sign up for a master class, and each one continues, so that by the time they get to like you asking for to them to join your bigger offer, they've been so like nurtured through this whole thing that they know that it's almost like they already know, like, and trust. So then it's an easier sell to them if you say, hey, I have only certain spots for this retreat, or I've got this workshop coming up, and really just like finding a way to like bring people into the content and then nurturing that. We help people set up email campaigns, like I said, automations, the freebies. We are just getting into helping people. My colleague Marla and I, we are designing new things to help people put together their master classes. I was in a marketing program with Verinda Norman, and so we know how to build the masterclass funnel and follow-ups so that it's like strategic. It's not this like, okay, trying to learn as we go to. I've learned from like 4 or 5 different people. I've spent almost 20 grand on my education and all this stuff over the past like 5 years. So I want to learn from the best. And so now I'm applying those tools that I've learned into the retreat sphere. So helping people, do their master classes, do their group memberships, do their group programs, do a one-on-one program. Besides just the retreat marketing, we're helping other coaches build all of their audience all together. And again, it goes back to the right tech. Like I was trying to do this for people without having to go high level. And I was like, I don't know how people do this without like a full-time assistant for each individual coach. And then the platform is really helping to automate all that. So just putting all the pieces finally together. So it's really exciting because I love being able to help people and like really help them like automate their things so they can still, whether it's a retreat or not, just show up and share their message. That's really like what I'm passionate about.
Yeah. That's really amazing, all that you're doing. Is that your
I think I'm
art, by
doing,
the way, behind you?
yeah, yeah.
Wow. It's really, you're so talented, Lauren. You're so
I'm
talented.
thank you. I think I have massive ADHD and I can't stick to one thing. I'm trying and I'm getting better at it, but I have a lot usually going on, but it's all kind of coming into retreats. So we'll be doing art retreats, but thank you. It's a
Hmm.
good outlet for me and I love doing it. So thank you.
So how do people work with you? Do they usually come in through the planning and then you help them with the marketing, or they're separate? How does it work?
Yeah. So we started out doing planning. It's been very word of mouth. I get referrals for people, and it starts out usually with planning, and then we offer the marketing packages like as an add-on if they want that, or there's an all-inclusive package, or you can have it as an add-on. And it depends on if they want the in-house PR marketing strategy too. But because the marketing aspect is new by only a few months, um, we will eventually, and I say eventually, like in the next probably 30 to 45 days, we will be offering just marketing, um, which again goes back to the go high level. We're finishing building that out. And so the go high level is like we're going to be able to sell those packages. Like here, you get a go high level account, you get templates for the like each type of retreat. Like we're going to have like 3 different templates for you want an adventure retreat template, you want a spiritual retreat template, a wellness. We're going to build those on the back end so that no matter what level you choose, you get those. So it's like a plug and play, and then we'll have the most effective like email campaigns that we've come up with that have been worked for us. We're going to include those email campaigns, automations, so that somebody's like, yes, I'm going to sign up for that. They get all that. They can build it themselves within like a few days and then launch their retreat and then start getting that lead generation going with a brand new audience because they'll have either a freebie or a free offer or an ebook. I always go back to the ebooks. It's so effective.
It
And we help you
is,
design that
right?
too. It
And it
is.
just gives you
Some people like,
authority.
it does. And it's so specialized too. And like share your specialty, share your niche. And like the more like niche down and specialized you get, the more it's appropriate. It's hard to say, like it's more appropriate for the people that you're talking to. You'll still get other people, but the ones who 100% need what you're offering, they're going to find it better. Right? So just basically putting that all together, and we help people create their ebooks too. So we just like have like a little bit of everything that we will help you set it up. There's the do-it-yourself option, and then there's of course the option we will build all that for you, and that's a little bit more customized. It's not just all templates, although the templates are really awesome because it's from what we've learned the different ways of putting your marketing copy in different sections. That's really effective if someone like seeing your retreat for the first time. If there's a certain like neuroscience behind it about like going to the sale, which is really cool, very conscious and very like neuroscience based, not just like, oh, here's the retreat in this. Like it's been like we've learned from experience, just different ways to do it. And then there's going to be a group model that we're going to be doing that you'll still have access to the having your own account with Go High Level with us. And you can have it preloaded or not. I think all of them will probably come with it, but then also you can do it yourself with us in a group model. So it's like a done with you. So like you're still doing it yourself, but we'll teach you the best practices. We'll have an ongoing, coaching program every single month with different like speakers coming in, different things that we're going to be teaching, but that you can do it more yourself. So do it yourself, do it with us, or we do it for you. 3 different tiers on that one. And I think it's going to be really, really cool. I'm going to be really busy pretty soon here. I already am pretty busy, but just as far as like trying to handle all of life, but that'll start, I want to say, we're shooting for January or February.
Okay. Well, good luck. I'm sure it's going to be a hit.
Yeah. Thank you. I think there's a need for it. I think.
Yeah.
And I want to work with other people in the retreat industry. Like I've already been talking to Sarah Martinez and Lainey. I can't remember how to say your last name. And then we've talked to Aaron and like all these other people. It's like, we want to bring those people into our group experience too, so that they can be the experts for that day and all that. So we're all growing together, Yeah.
That's great. I love the collaboration. It's really
Yeah.
nice.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think we may have answered all of the questions.
Thanks for letting me really like get into explaining all of it.
Yeah, I love it. I guess so. So just 2 more things. One thing would be, what advice do you have for retreat leaders? And I'm just going to leave it open-ended. Any.
Yeah, Annie, I love that. I mean, I could spout off about techniques, technology. I mean, there's so much, but I would say this to anyone who's either brand new or already has been doing it, because I'm sure that they've had to either learn this at this point, I should say, or maybe they haven't yet, is to know what you bring to the table. And it's a mindset thing. And if you have a scarcity mindset around your retreats, then you're going to attract people that have a scarcity mindset to your retreats, and people that are going to try and haggle you down, and people that are going to say, well, what do I get for this? And like, like really get really nitpicky. And they're going to be a little bit more high maintenance. And it's oftentimes like, it has nothing to do with money. It's oftentimes because it's their own inner saboteur that is stopping them from growing to their next level by really like stopping themselves from going for a new opportunity, right? So what I mean by that is just to price it properly, to price it so that you are filling your own cup, so that you come back charged, ignited, ready to do your next one. And then because you've earned really good money doing it, then you reinvest that back into your own education and your own facilitator leadership and all the things that you need to show up even better and more impactful on the next time. So don't be afraid to ask for what you need, and then add a little bit for what you want. Like, it's all like, if you want your guests to have a good experience, they have a transformation, you have to know your value and your worth about offering that and providing a container for that. So really it's the mindset of just honoring yourself. We can't serve from an empty cup. We can't show up to retreat like burnt out because all the logistics, all the stress of everything happening, like all the stress and all the things that happen before the retreat, like you got to drop all that by the time you get to your retreat. And again, it has to be worth it for you, both energetically, financially, and working with the right people, which is why your messaging is so important, to attract the people that you really want to work with, who aren't going to resist what you're trying to teach them, who aren't going to, just use it as some vacation. Like, you want to work with the right people too. So like, you have to be very clear on your standards on that.
That's great advice. Thank you.
Thank you. Learned the hard way, but yes, thank you.
Yeah. That's usually how it happens. We learn the hard way, and then so we can teach other people from our mistakes.
Absolutely.
So, okay, now I want to know, do you have a question? I've been asking this lately. People's questions are very Interesting. I haven't had the same question repeat. So if there was like the retreat gods or like the ultimate retreat expert, what question would you ask them?
Ooh, I love that. Oh my goodness. Well, I was going to make it a question to you, but now we're talking about the retreat gods here.
Yeah, not me.
Um, I would love to hear why you got into retreats in the first place too. So you can answer that. That'll be optional if you want. But for the bigger one, I start going into like Mother Earth type of stuff and the ascension. I guess like I would love to know definitively beyond my personal beliefs and experiences if there is true. I kind of feel like I already know the answer, but like true like activating land energy for people that you take onto different spots around the land, I guess. And so like there's a lot of people that do those kinds of retreats, and I don't even know if this is retreat related. It's more like the sacred area stuff, but I feel like it's true. Let me you're stumping me with this one. For okay, this is good for the retreat stuff. So how important is it the actual place that you choose, not just the venue or the location, but the actual like land energy? Is that as important as I make it out to be? Because that'd be a good question.
Mhm. I'm not the retreat gods, and this is the first time that I'm going to be answering a question, one of these. But
Just channel it.
I'm gonna say yes. Please channel through me. I'm gonna tell you yes. I'm gonna say yes.
Oh, the retreat gods, she's here.
Coming from above. It's not me. Here, look. Here it is. There it is.
Ah,
Oh
Ganesh, yes.
yes. You see, it's coming in to tell you yes.
Mm.
Yeah. That's a great question. Let's see beyond my answer if anybody else has some answers that they leave in the comments, and we'll see what the retreat gods say.
That would be lovely. As channeled through all of us, right? Through all
Exactly.
mouthpieces of the
Yes.
divine, right? So